Okay, and I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna turn this over first to Dave, and I'll let him start, and then I'll do mine. I did a handout, so. And there's plenty of room to write on it, and you can take it home with you, and if you think of anything else, write it down. So here we go, it's gonna be a fun ride.
Good evening. I never thought about printing copies to hand out. It's 2 pages. I could have printed it on one sheet, so it's one of those things I didn't type up till today. And today was one of those days of taking the dog to the vet to get his teeth cleaned and all that kind of stuff. So it was a fun day. But what I did is I wrote up a little thing over here, and I just realized I stapled them backwards. So much for that staple. So anyway, when we started talking about artificial intelligence or AI, I thought what I would do is just go through and kind of talk about some of the things that I find interesting and helpful about it, and some of the things that kind of tick me off a little bit, the things I don't like about it. And just so you notice, a couple months ago I did a lecture about standard format. It is more or less in standard format. Just to kind of perk your curiosity a little bit. Okay, anyway, and it goes something like this. Whether we like it or not, AI is here to stay. Most of us, I think, have a variety of feelings and thoughts about it. Some things we like, some things we don't like. In its more basic forms, it can be kind of helpful to writers. We have spell check, grammar check, and other such things. And it can help us by catching errors we might otherwise miss. And if it does so, then we don't have to spend time searching for those problems ourselves. Or at least we don't have as many to search for. And I don't mind spell check or grammar check because they simply point out potential problems or errors to us.
I like those.
I think spell check underlines in red, grammar check it usually in a blue. And you go up and you check it and you can say, well, I like it that way. I'm going to keep it that way. You can tell it to ignore it, or you can even add the misspelled word to the dictionary so it won't say it's misspelled the next time it comes across it. You can make the recommended changes or tell the system to mind its own business, leave it as it is. Regardless of the program, the AI will not artificially make the change, or arbitrarily make the change. At the same time, it's a good idea to verify that the change needs to be made rather than automatically following the suggestions. Sometimes AI, grammar check, spell check, etc., don't fully understand the complexities of our language or the context in which we might be using it at the time. I've got an address label that we use once in a while. We used it here recently when we sent our taxes in. It's my name, first name, middle initial, and the and sign. My wife's first name, middle initial, and our last name. Well, grammar check keeps highlighting my middle initial, the period after it, and the and sign. And you look at it and it says, you only need one punctuation. There's only one punctuation there, that's the period. The and sign is not a punctuation, it's a and sign, it's the word and. And there's a couple other things that I've run across where, since I write a lot of sea stories, what's the common response to an order? Aye, aye, sir. That second aye gets a red line under it. You don't need it. Yes, you do, because that's what they said.
Yes.
So you repeat words. And I think I've even run into sometimes typing the name of the city down in southern Washington, Walla Walla.
Yeah.
It gets underlined, repeated word. Yes, it's repeated.
Oh, brother.
Okay. Okay, I get along fairly well with spell check, grammar check, and other related type things. Mainly because they don't make these changes and corrections on its own. Then there's autocorrect.
No.
Spelled O-T-T-O.
Yeah, these brothers, autopilot for the airlines. Okay. Like I say, I'm a little less enthralled with autocorrect, because if you don't watch what you're doing, it'll make those changes, whether or not they're ones that are actually needed. It'll make some really weird ones. And you usually don't realize it, and I think for most people, I think it's on your phone. You sit there and you type out a text or something, hit send, then you're looking at what you sent later. I didn't say that.
No.
Well, I knew I spelled such and such wrong, but it didn't fix that, it fixed something else.
Yeah.
It totally obliterated it out of the place, just took it out of there.
We call it stupid smartphones. Dumb smartphone.
So it's always a shock to see what you said and find some really weird changes. I don't know if you've all seen the cartoons, but it's character saying, AI, it's never duck. Hey, we're through with each one. Okay, we got some more advanced versions of AI. And nowadays, they can write stories for us, they can paint our pictures, and do other things. And a lot of posts on social media seem to be AI generated. I don't know if anybody's noticed that.
Yes.
After a while now, I've got to where I can usually detect a post that's AI generated just by the way it's written. It seems like there's we talk about authors having voices, the way their work sounds and stuff. And it's like AI generated stories all have the same voice.
Yep.
It's kind of bland, but the whole story kind of flows in the same way, no matter what the story is, who the people are in it, or the individuals concerned or something. And it's almost like it's made to fit one standard template.
Yeah.
We have all these things about story structure where you can start at the very beginning and follow it straight through, or you start in the middle and go to that reminds me of, and you go way back to the beginning and bring it up. There's all these different, but it's like AI generated stuff follows one template. And to me, when I'm reading something on a post on Facebook or something like that, I'm looking for something that's brief. I don't want something that's going to take me a half hour to read. I want something brief and concise. And these things seem to stretch it out forever. I don't have any concept of pacing, I guess. Okay. AI art can be stunning at first glance, but there are often mistakes in the execution and in the details that after a while, again, you look at it and say, that's AI. That's not human generated. Those goofs in there are not human generated, they're electronically generated.
Yep.
So since I write a lot of Age of Sail naval adventure stories, I kind of keep an eye out for ship pictures. And I see a lot of them on social media, but almost all of them, as soon as I look at, that's AI. There's something wrong about them. Once you get past the initial wow. I've seen ones where it looks like when a ship sits in the water, it don't sit on top of the water, it sits in the water.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them, it looks like that ship is maybe got 2 inches worth of the ship in the water and the rest of it's up above the water. You might see 3 masts leaving from the deck, and when you look up at the top, you see 4. You start looking at the sails going across. Well, this one sail, it's connected to all 3 masts, and they're supposed to be one behind another, but this one's going across, and somehow it's like they're optical illusions is what they are. It's like the one where the steps keep going up, and when you get up to the top corner, you're back down here at the bottom again. I don't know if you've seen that drawing. I forget who did it. So you have. Okay, so people might use AI to write a story in order to save time. However, I think I'd spend a lot more time going through something that AI generated in order to make it sound more realistic and closer to something that I might have written. If I were to have AI write something for me, I don't know if I would, or even if I should, be willing to claim it as my work. I would be hesitant to do so, even if I spent a heck of a lot of time going back over it and trying to take the AI influence out of it. As some people have said, they'd rather have AI help with the housework, the yard work,
Yes.
maybe our painting work, so that we have the time to sit and write or paint or pursue whatever hobbies we want to do, but to where we're doing it and not AI. And I think my next little blurb, my little finishing blurb here is kind of a retake of what I just said, but it says, it's likely that as time moves forward, more people will end up using AI to generate their written or artistic work. And that results in, as I just mentioned, an ethics quandary, as mentioned above. I believe writers and artists need to be honest about how they create their work and give credit where credit is due, and not take credit where credit isn't due. And that's all I've got for right now.
Thank you, Dave. That's great. Carol has something.
Well, who programs AI? Who does it? What does it?
Computer programmers.
Oh, okay.
I mean, well, no, I get what you're saying now. Do you put your name on something that AI created?
But how would you know?
They are, well, there's one author that I heard about recently that wrote a book all by herself, had it edited, and the gal that edited it probably changed stuff because of what a program like Grammarly did, rewrite this paragraph because it doesn't make much sense. And just clicked on, use this one. And there were enough of those that they decided her book was too much AI influence. They pulled it from the shelves. They did not let her publish it. She was out. I mean, so there's consequences for doing these things. And not all of them are good. I found there was also a website, and I didn't write down the address of it, but it's like Cozy Mysteries something.com. And this gal developed this program that would write an entire book for you, including storyboard, story Bible, all this stuff that you need. And if you input a few things on what you want, and it will create about a 50,000 word manuscript that you can claim. And there are also AI programs that will write a newspaper article for you. So it's more invasive than I think a lot of people realize. And I, for one, am not in favor of those kinds of things.
No.
Because what does that do to us? I mean, my first 3 books in my series, it took me 2 to 3 years to write each one. And that's okay with me because I'm still selling them, 10, 15 years later, I'm still selling books. The Return from Armageddon book, I published it in print form in 2011. I wrote it way before that, but I'm still selling those. And that's because I had a good editor. The people that first published it as an audiobook at Books in Motion. And then I had quite a few people read it, and they produced this audiobook, and it went all over the United States. They put them in the truck stops. The truckers could sign up and check it out in one and drop it off in another. And it went all over the United States. It got into the Library of Congress, especially the books for the blind. I mean, it was really cool. But they only had the rights to their audio production of it. I got to keep all the rest of the rights. So it's still a good seller. I'm still selling copies. So I'm going to get into what I wanted to do here. I don't need my glasses, I guess. Okay. This is my handout, and I asked some questions here. First of all, what is artificial intelligence? And I wrote out words that I looked up, okay? That's a working definition, but artificial includes items, materials, or processes made by humans rather than occurring naturally, often serving as imitations, substitutes, or synthetic copies of natural components. Simply put, artificial is not real, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, intelligence is defined as the general mental capacity to reason, solve problems, think abstractly, learn quickly, and adapt to new situations or environments rather than just possessing knowledge. So right now, we're at the stage where AI, generative AI, they call it, is at, they possess knowledge. They're trying to accumulate a bunch of different examples of writing and incorporate that into their database so that they can come closer to what humans might do. And at this point, you want to be sure that they are not using your manuscript, because they can. If they, they will if they think they can get away with it. So that's another thing you got to watch for, which is not good for us either. So how does this artificial intelligence work? There's many forms and applications of what we or others would consider to be artificial intelligence. For example, a computer or smartphone. Both of those do some not real original thinking, but they do things for you. They do chores for you. And like as OTTO autocorrect does on your text messages, they make up their own sometimes.
Yes.
But then there's a video game or if you play video games, and they adapt to the player's responses. And that's artificial intelligence going in. And like I said, it's not real, but that's okay. And then here's another really scary one to me, the self-driving cars.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they've got a history of real problems with those. Because they can't simulate human response.
No.
Or creativity. And then there's the Roomba. Have you seen those little round things that go around and bump into things and change direction and supposedly vacuum up everything?
They're annoying.
My daughter had one years ago. She doesn't anymore. But then there is if you get into the realm of movies and sci-fi, there is Skynet, which was the Terminator series, where the machines became self-aware
Yeah.
and decided to get rid of all the humans. And there's the Matrix, where they put the people into this conglomerate of, they clicked them into this big machine so that their brains were actually used to create things, and they made them think that they were really living when they were just stuck in this fluid and weren't really living. And then there's virtual reality, and I experienced that one time where I put on these goggles and I chose a program that was going to be like Minecraft or something like that, and you could build out your own reality, but you'd see a certain amount, and if you turned, you'd see another scene. I mean, it was a little bit disorienting.
Yes.
You don't want to try to walk when you got virtual reality goggles on.
No,
Anyway,
be
there are
nasty,
those.
me too.
I mean, there's been a lot of sci-fi things, but what are the uses? And Dave touched on this quite a bit. Some apps and programs have been useful to a point. Spell checking, grammar, errors, formatting, and typos. I noticed that when I went to draft to digital, I was going to put my print book up there, and they wouldn't let me do what I had done for uploaded to Amazon. They had their own little format. They didn't use the typefaces I wanted, and it was not fun trying to get that book uploaded the way I wanted it. And I just got an email today. They're changing some of their stuff too, so I may just pull it from there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I will say positive for Amazon is they let you do your own thing, and they make you declare it if you use AI. They won't say no, but you have to let people know that this is AI generated, at least part in part. And I think that's a good thing. So Amazon will allow things that, I mean, they'll allow bad grammar even, and spelling errors and stuff, but it's more up to you. And I think that's the best way to go. So, then the uses are, these programs that I mentioned, like Microsoft Word's editor, like Dave talked about, there's Grammarly, and that actually has an industry standard version, a professional version for editing and, line edits and proofreading and things like that. And I've used it a lot, but I use it to help me find things that my eyes might gloss over, and it does help in that regard. Like, I found quote marks that never got closed. And periods or exclamations or question marks that never got put in, or commas in the wrong places, things like that. And I always double check with the Chicago Manual of Style. I subscribe to that once a year. It's really cheap, and I can look up just about any grammar, punctuation, spelling thing I want to check. And I do Merriam-Webster for the dictionary for spelling. So those things are helpful. They're tools. And I hate autocorrect. I'm sorry, I'm not a hateful person. He's very annoying.
Yes.
So they're useful, but beware, because they will correct things that didn't need correcting, and sometimes misspell words. Microsoft Word used to be, anytime you wrote the word it's, there's two versions.
Yeah.
It is the contraction IT apostrophe S,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, which is a possessive, which means that it owns it. And a lot of people get those mixed up. Well, Microsoft Word solved that problem. They just did everything with an apostrophe,
Oh, for heaven's
even if it shouldn't have one. It used to drive me nuts. I think they fixed that in this latest version, but I would watch it anyway. And then Grammarly will take if it didn't like the way you worded a paragraph, it'll want you to reword it its way. And I really, really do not use that very seldom if there's something really doesn't make sense. And I will check with the author in case they don't want it changed, in case they did it on purpose. But they just want you to click on change the whole paragraph the way we want it. And that's not part of my job. My part is to preserve the author's voice. So now you know some of the uses, and like I said, Grammarly can be, it can be helpful. It's a tool. It's a tool for us to use. How we use it is a whole lot different. You know, if we're using it to shortcut and we got our term paper due and we don't want to write it, and we just go online and tell it what to do, and it puts in all the stuff for us, you don't learn anything that way, and you don't create anything that way. So that's a bad thing, I think.
You're correct.
Safety features on some of the newer cars are pretty scary too. There's some that just they'll beep if you go kind of drifted to the next lane over, they'll beep at you. But they have the same sound for other things that you might do, and Ray's got one of those on his car, and it beeps at him all the time, so he finally disabled it, and I don't blame him. Yeah, so that's a form of AI also. So the ones who force a lane change or who put on the brakes for you because they see a danger, those things are dangerous.
Very.
Yeah, there's been accidents because of those things. So that's an AI trying to take over. And if you ever saw the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, you know about, how AI does not. And of course that's a fantasy sci-fi thing.
Yeah.
You know, we cannot create a computer or a robot of any kind that can, android, if you will, that can actually think. Not like we can. There's no way that they can duplicate the neural network of a human.
No.
I mean, they would have to have a computer bigger than the planet, I think, to be able to do that. And, you know, it's the way it is. Okay, so, disadvantages, as mentioned above, the artificial intelligence system seems to be somewhat of a know-it-all, when it really doesn't know it all. And programmers like those of ChatGPT, I didn't even know what that was. I kept seeing it on my computer. I finally looked up what it was. Not good. Anyway, it's supposed to replace the human element. And so we ask ourselves, has Skynet become self-aware yet? Okay, so what are the costs? As writers and authors, we are irreplaceable. That doesn't mean some are trying to replace the human element. Even paranoids have real enemies, you know.
Yeah.
But if a program with a minimum of creative input from a human can produce a full-length cozy mystery, which is about 50,000 words, complete with all the extra background work in a fraction of the time it takes for one of us humans to compose it, how does that impact our future as an author? You know, it really does impact it. And there are people who come out with a book a month. And I don't know how they could do it, except that they have to be, probably are using AI, because there's not enough hours in a month. I mean, NaNoWriMo, you could do a rough draft in a month, yes. I've done that. I've done 1,700 words a day for a month and come up with a sort of a story, but it's not, there's no way that a person can create something like that in that short of time, I think. So, and don't even get me started on news articles. Actually, you can get me started on it because I don't know how much of the stuff that we read in our newspapers is AI generated, and that's scary to me
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know what the truth is anymore. And unless we really care and do careful research. So, those are part of the costs. And reporters, because I was a reporter at one time, we go out and dig for information, we interview people, we visit the scene of whatever we're reporting on, and we could do some of those, okay, some of those things, but AI just mines the internet and other similar sources and puts it all together, and it's something that could be very far from the truth. So that bothers me. I don't know if it bothers you guys, but it does bother me.
Yeah.
So what can we do? We could deliver reality even in fiction. I mean, at least our fictional stories come from our own brains with our own experiences and observations, and we put it all together using our mind. And we can create out of our imagination. We could study, fact check, and detach ourselves from personal bias if we want to. And if there's a reason to have a personal bias in our story, we could put it in there, you know. We're in charge of our own story. Okay, so we could do that. We can use some of the programs and apps as tools of the trade without compromising our creativity. If we remember, they are only tools, and not to be all end all solutions to meet deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
We can learn how to spell, learn how to basic grammar rules, and some people just never can spell, but they have dictionaries and they have, you know, editors and things like that. Okay, read a lot of other real writers. This is a clue too, because there's a lot of garbage coming out now.
Mm-hmm.
But you especially want to read the classics like Shakespeare, Stephen King, Agatha Christie, and George Orwell. I mean, that's a variety. I mean, there's a lot of good authors to read out there. My mom had one wall of our living room was all bookshelf, and it was full of books from floor to ceiling. And I read every single one of those books before I got into 9th grade. And we went and checked out books from the library too. So a reader makes a good writer.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I have for right now. Do we have a couple of comments? Can I pass the microphone around?
No,
Let's take a break.
No, this is very interesting. I didn't know all this.
Oh yeah, and it's getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And better and better. I mean, there are certain uses that are getting refined. Like I said, Word probably has improved on its thing. So, but it's here to stay. It's not going away. I know that. And it's a tool if we want to use it properly. It's like owning a gun. You can use it to enter competitions for target shooting, or you can use it to kill somebody, and it's all up to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, or if you're poor old Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone, you use it to shoot your dinner, you know. But and maybe that's not the best analogy, but it's the one that came to my brain all of a sudden. And I grew up with Davy Crockett. We knew all 57 verses of the song,
Oh, wow.
my brother and I. So anyway, why don't we take a quick break, because Jenny made some scones and they're very good. And are they all gone?
I've already had. I don't know. Yeah, well, I know. I already had.
Anyway, we take a quick break and use the restroom if you need to, and then we'll come back and we'll get feedback from all of you. Okay?
Okay.
Jenny, do you know?
Yes.
Yes.